I want the world to know this. I don't respect Swami Satchitananda, but I love him. I don't respect Satchitananda, but I love Satchitananda. I love Satchitananda like I love a little baby. So I just have to say this, I haven't been reaching out to anybody at Yogaville, but mostly one person, but another person, right? Two people have stayed in contact with me at Yogaville, right? Michael Frusciante, and she recently contacted me, and she's contacted me. Her name is Alex May. She's like the taco lady or something, right? Both of these people, they're basically two of the more selfless, like, I don't know, like Michael's talks about like doing a pizza stand for charity, right? And the Alexandra, the taco lady, she does tacos for donations, right? She doesn't like charge, so she doesn't do the transactional energy thing. So she gets it too, right? So those are the only two people that have reached out to me, are the two of the more selfless people at Yogaville. Mostly the other people, probably around 85% of everyone else, the other 85% of the people at Yogaville are completely selfish. So hats off to and that's so funny. I was thinking that, right? The only two people that reached out to me are the two people who, before, I even left Yogaville, I was like, oh, these two people are a little bit more, they're a little bit more altruistic. They got their heart's in the right place. And then they're the only two that reached out to me. Very interesting how this world works. But all the old people at Yogaville, they're selfish. They're absolutely corrupt and selfish. This guy named Bhagavan Metro, I mean, he was trying to justify the slaughter of Jewish children, talking about how it's their karma and how they earned it. They might have not deserved it, but they earned it. That makes no sense to me. If you earn something, you deserve it, right? I'll bring it down to Bhagavan's level. If you earn money, if you do some work for some money, that means you deserve the money, right? So if you earn your karma, that means you deserve your karma. So if those Jewish children who got gassed in those Nazi gas chambers earned their karma, that means they deserve to get gassed in those gas chambers, according to your logic, right? Anyways, I'm done with these old white people, dude. They're absolutely corrupt, money hungry, and ridiculous. Anyways, that's besides the point. I was saying something. Okay, so as close as possible to Yogaville, I'm going to build a mini ashram. As soon as I get enough capital, I'll raise some capital quite quickly, I think, maybe not quickly, but maybe within a few years I'll have enough capital to start a mini ashram across the street from Yogaville Ashram. And it's gonna be a mini ashram. We're gonna keep it small, we're gonna keep it tight. We're gonna donate 100% of the profits to charity. And we're gonna do a lot of things for donations. We're gonna minimize the transactional energy to the greatest degree possible. We're gonna do some yoga classes. We're gonna charge for some more like higher level or some deeper yoga classes. We're gonna charge for those and donate the profits to charity above investments and salaries and other things that are required to run a business. And we're gonna do meditation classes. That's always gonna be free, I think. Yeah, totally, definitely. The meditation hall in this mini ashram is gonna be free. The yoga room is, you might have to pay for some yoga classes, or maybe like some of the yoga classes or something, I don't know, something like that. And then there's gonna be a coffee shop, a marijuana dispensary, a harm reduction marijuana dispensary, one that focuses on, trying to get people off of marijuana, even if you sell them some marijuana, you're gonna be like, all right, I'm giving you this marijuana, but you shouldn't smoke so much. And we're gonna take them through some drug rehabilitation tactics to minimize their marijuana usage. Something else I forgot. And then there's like some other stuff we're gonna do at the ashram. We're gonna do some holy, like throw some colored powder to each other, some Indian festivals, some fun stuff, and that's gonna be free and all. And we're gonna donate 100% of the profits to charity. So there's the marijuana, the coffee, the yoga, the bookshop, the book and art store, dude. We gotta have the book and art shop in it as well. So that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna build the Yoga Pot Bookshop, the Utopian Buddha Yoga Pot Bookshop, Utopian Buddha Yoga Pot Bookshop mini ashram, competing with Yogaville until I get old enough to take it over and all these old people running the place die off. So peace. Hello, YouTube. I want to come back. I feel like I'm being too judgmental a little bit, dude. We're all pieces of shit and we're all good human beings and we're all evil human beings and we're all good and bad at the same time. So I don't want to overtly judge everyone. I mean, it's just like, I don't know what it is, man. So I've just decided that I gotta take over Yogaville for whatever reason. I gotta take over Yogaville. It seems like it needs to happen, you know, for a variety of reasons. But no, you know, people are good and people are bad, and it's about choosing the good and reducing the bad. But the problem is the old people at Yogaville are completely unaware that they're terrible human beings, right? Like that's what makes them terrible human beings, is they're so old, they're going senile, right? So they're losing awareness of the fact that they are bad human beings, right? And awareness is everything. Being aware that you're selfish is the first step to, like, you know, taking control of that, or, you know, balancing that with more selfless altruistic activities. And they're completely unaware of their moral inadequacies, dude. So that's what it is. I think I'm gonna make a long form video. I just feel like talking for now. Let's see, what else do I want to say? But yeah, no, I would say most of the younger people, you know, they haven't lost their brains yet. You know, they haven't been brainwashed by Satchidananda's dominant spiritual energy, right? That's what it was, right? That's what it was. And it took me about 8 months to a year to break out of Satchidananda's Yogaville dominant spiritual energy, because Satchidananda was, you know, spiritually very powerful, but rationally and morally an absolute idiot. So that's how it goes, dude. But that's the thing, right? So I've always been, well, not always, but like, you know, when I first came to Yogaville, I clearly recognized, like, I'm smarter than Satchidananda by far, dude. And I'm more morally aware. I'm more morally sensitive. I'm more compassionately sensitive to the suffering of others than Satchidananda is. That was almost immediately apparent to me. All right. But I knew Satchidananda was a good guy, right? Like, in terms of his embodying, like, his intelligence was kind of faulty, but because he was under the influence of the saints of India while he was in India, he was, you know, influenced by Shivananda, who was, you know, even Shivananda, right? Shivananda was overly reliant upon Indian culture, you know, overly reliant upon karmic ideas, even though Shivananda was so much better than Satchidananda. And he often made little comments here and there, you know, poking holes in traditional karmic interpretations of the universe. So that being said, right? So Satchidananda realized the self, but see, there's the self is neutral in many respects, right? And the self can be corrupted, you know, into ego like, so the ego can bring down the unitive love, unconditional love of the self. The ego can bring that down and create ego inflation. And so Satchidananda used that, the dark side of the self, I guess you could call it. That's what the Jungians call it, the dark side of the self, with a capital S. Carl Jung calls it that. And it's just like, you know, the self is the most powerful force in the human psyche. It has access to all of the archetypes which are in the collective unconscious, which create deep spiritual bridges between two individuals who are, especially if one individual is embodying the self archetype, and that self archetype can interact with other archetypes in the collective unconscious, or other deeply ingrained behavioral patterns ingrained into the human neurology over eons of evolution. So if one person is activating that divine archetype, they're able to use their spiritual power to dominate and brainwash all of these old, you know, swamis, all of these old people who all knew Satchidananda so personally. Even though Satchidananda, you know, like, the thing is, Satchidananda was very spiritually developed because he absorbed all of the saintly self, capital S, energies of India, the light. He absorbed that, right? But then he came to America, was corrupted, but he still had that moral essence, right? So there was a lot of moral goodness in him because he embodied, you know, Shivananda dominated Satchidananda with Shivananda's saint energy, right? But that energy started to dissipate when Satchidananda came to America, the saint energy. which I understand completely. I've been there. I'm trying to move up. Satchidananda came to America and he went down. I'm like, slowly trying to move up into like, the Shivananda level. I don't think I'll ever get there, but I'll try. Definitely I'm moving beyond Satchidananda pretty quickly, but so that's what happened, right? So Satchidananda was spiritually realized, but he came to America and started falling into the dark side of the self and using his ego-inflated spiritual energy to use his spiritual powers to manipulate and dominate and separate people. I think the big thing about Satchidananda, and I think that's Indian tradition too, which is a problem, is that he gave separate mantras to separate people, like secret mantras, right? Like, oh, let's all stay separate and secret, right? I want everyone to know my mantra because my mantra is the truth. The mantra I use is Jai Shri Sat Chit Ananda, not Satchidananda, not the guy. I don't care about the guy. Sat Chit Ananda, being consciousness bliss, right? I want everyone at Yogaville to use that mantra, Jai Shri Sat. And when you say Sat, inquire into being, which is the essence. Then you say Chit, you say that's consciousness, which is slightly more dualistic, very slightly more dualistic. You go from the non-dual paradoxical essence of reality, which is Sat, what is, the mystery, to Chit, which is consciousness, the subject, the witness, to Ananda, which is the bliss, which is the I don't know. The Ananda, I guess, is kind of like in between Sat and Chit, I guess. Anyways, I don't know exactly how that works. So you want to connect people, you want to bring people together, and you want your darkness of my own human corruption, right? See, that's the thing, right? Satchidananda was born in the East during a time prior to the time that India was overtly corrupted by capital, especially Indian spirituality in the 1800s and 1900s, early 1900s, hadn't been completely corrupted by Western materialism. Now India is like, they got Walmarts and Lamborghinis and Gucci and Versace in India and shit like that. Anyways, so that's what it is. That's exactly what happens. So Satchidananda came to absorb the light of the bliss and the light of the self in India, came to America, started getting corrupted by the materialistic energy. And that's the thing, you can't completely blame Satchidananda, because when you were self-realized, you were non-dualistic, right? And when you were non-dualistic, you were completely open to and if you don't have a very strong moral and spiritual saintly center, you're going to be pulled into the materialism of other people's energies, right? And looking at the Swamis, like, they're all selfish, dude. Like, so Satchidananda was probably dragged down by all of the people who flocked to him, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if, it's partially probably all the old people right now at Yogaville, they probably dragged Satchidananda down. I wouldn't be surprised. But so Satchidananda fell to the dark side of the self. What's been happening to me is I started in America, right? So Satchidananda was in India, where there was more light, where there's still more light in terms of spiritual realization. Came to America, got corrupted. I'm in America. I started doing drugs at 20, dude. Before I even knew 18. I started doing like drugs at 18. I started doing Adderall, so I was corrupted by American culture prior to any serious, maturity on my part or personal autonomy. But so I'm in the West, right? But I never experienced the dark side of the self as much because I wasn't self-realized. I was just in materialism, right? But then I had the spiritual experience. I started to move towards the light. I fell to the dark multiple times because, again, I'm in American culture. And then now I found Satchidananda's energy, and Satchidananda kind of served as a gateway from the dark side of the self, or the dark side to the light, right? So I'm kind of using Satchidananda to move from the dark of the self, which I've been in, well, not the dark, but the materialism and corruption, which I've been in, to the light of Shivananda and Vivekananda and all of these great saints and Ramakrishna, of the light of this, the light side of the self. But the deepest thing is, so there's like the light, there's the light ego, there's the dark ego, and then closer to that is so there's the light ego, the dark ego, then there is the light self and the dark self. And then right in the center is the deepest light, it's so self that it's beyond the self. I don't know how to explain it exactly. Because the good, the light, the love is the essence of creation, right? So the light side of the self is closer to the deepest truth of existence, right? Because like even like calling it the self, right? It's just like you're implying that your ego has access to it, which is true. But the deepest truth is that it's beyond self and other, even capital S self, right? The deepest truth of existence is the profound paradoxical mystery of God is beyond subject and object. So even if you talk about being the witness or the watcher, that's still a subject, right? So it's even beyond that. So to make any attempt at saying that you know God or that you've realized God, right? I'm honestly not sure about this. This is hypothesis, but perhaps no one is truly like God level enlightened. You know, you can get close to infinity, but infinity is infinite, so you can never get all the way there, no matter how enlightened you are. So I think this was a really great talk. I'll talk to you guys later.